Howdy, Ags. As promised, we got to look at the OC potential candidates for you tonight. We're looking at just one tonight. We're going to take a look at their film, see what's going on with them, what you can expect. Um, Tonight, we're going to look at Garrett Riley, offensive coordinator for TCU. Before we can do that, though, we have to get to the big news of the day. Have you heard the big news of the day? Yes, the recruiting train is going on, and this does mean you can take a little sip of Kool-Aid. I will partake myself. You can find that recipe in the description. I'll leave it there. Got quite a few recipes for these Maroon Kool-Aids, but you might as well take a sip while you can. So Reuben Owens commits to Texas A&M today. Let's look at this guy's journey real quick. So he committed to Texas, I believe, back in February 2021. Or rather, maybe even he decommitted somewhere thereafter. So then he commits to Louisville when we thought he was coming to A&M. He's out of El Campo, Texas, and it was a little weird going to Louisville, just to be quite honest. But a lot of speculation about why he decommitted. However, he did, and 4 hours later, he's now an Aggie. So 5-star running back, nice addition to the meat and potatoes class. And if you go look at it, it was filled with 11 meat and potato guys. So this is a little bubbly to go with it, something to drink, something nice, something soothing. He is a 5'11", 190-pound guy right now. I think he's actually maybe closer to 200 at this point, but he's rated .98 by 247, and he's the number 2 composite running back. Some say number 1, depends on the outlet, but he's number 23 in the class. So we're adding a 5-star guy here. He's the second 5-star guy next to Hicks. So excellent addition. And what does it mean? And I got a few thoughts on this because this season looked like it was dead, but that LSU win meant something, and it garnered some attention. It attracted some looks. And here we are, Reuben. Would it have been possible without that win? Maybe so. But I want these guys to be thinking that they want to be Aggies. I know this guy's kind of been all over a little bit, but the background with his father had him as an Aggie for a long time anyways, and he was going to be an Aggie support no matter what. So it kind of made a lot of sense, and I think this guy sees himself as an Aggie, and that's what we've really been looking for out of a lot of guys. Want their identity to be A&M, so we don't have so much of the transfer portal stuff and the just some of the misbehaviors as well, right? So that LSU win, I think, really went a long way to soothe, if no other than just the fan base, some of the recruits' thoughts about whether or not this is a place they wanted to be and a place they could be developed. It did not hurt that LJ decommitted. Okay, that didn't hurt. Definitely probably played into that, and I think what maybe even more so played into it was a Chain's declaration for the NFL draft. So looking to see what that guy's been able to do, I think it's a big attraction, don't you? A Chain's been amazing, and he's not been behind a great line, and he's still had amazing production. So if this guy thinks he can be anywhere close to the level of that a Chain has been on, and we sold him what we could do in the LSU game, I think the writing was probably on the wall for this guy. So great pickup. More than that, too, this tells me that longevity in recruiting does make a difference. You can't just sit back and relax and or just take your lumps. You got to stick. You got to stay in there. You got to keep throwing punches. If you got to take some, you got to take some, but you got to keep throwing them. That really is all there is to it. Early signing period coming up December 21st, right? So this is a nice pickup close to the signing day, and I hope he's going to be an early signee. It'd be great to get him and as many as we can locked up to get this class kind of more solidified. It's a healthy class. It's 12 commits. We have an average rating of about 92.5, and if you put that as the metric for gauging the classes, it'd probably put us somewhere in the top 10. Maybe even top 5 as a matter of fact. Points wise though, how they're actually ranking these classes, we don't have enough commits in there to actually jump into the top 10, so we're sitting at 18 currently. But it's a very healthy Like I said, very meat and potatoes kind of class. I think it's what we want. We can talk about that even more, but maybe we'll mention a little bit as we talk about Garrett Riley. Before we do that, though, I think it's important that we start defining what it is we would really want to see in an offensive coordinator. I've been thinking about this, and I could probably reel off 10 to even maybe 20 things that kind of come to mind. Some more important than others. I would be interested to know what you think some of these might be that I don't mention. Okay, so I've tried to whittle it down a little bit, but this is still a work in progress. For me right now, what I want to see out of an offensive coordinator, because I don't want to tie this to a specific scheme. I don't want to say, oh, I want to see spread. Oh, I want to see air raid. Oh, I want to see pro style. I don't think that's the way to go in trying to evaluate something. I think a lot of times what we get in our head is, I want to move away from that. Like with Sumlin, we wanted to move away from all the screen passes. They just weren't working. Well, there's reasons for that. I think what we want to actually see, and this is going to be start off broad, maybe we can get it down to some specifics, is we want to see somebody that's effective. Ultimately, that's what we want. Who cares what they're going to be running? It doesn't really matter. We cared less in that LSU game what we were running because we saw how effective it was being. And if you can be effective, then you've got us. That's all we want. No one's going to complain when it's effective. No one cares. But don't get in the mindset, I think, that because it's not working, that it's broken, right? This is kind of what we got into about the whole, the 2014, this offense expired, back then. Well, it wasn't expired against LSU. However, we're not sure exactly what that offense was anyways. The point being, if you now take a step back and you say, all right, well, we want it to be effective. Well, then what do you want out of an offensive coordinator? Okay, so a few things, maybe a few key items I think are worth noting. One, I want to see somebody that's going to scheme for our players and against the other team. I want to see matchups being utilized, and like we did with Donovan Green, right? Once we really started using him in a particular way, we really started being more effective. Once we started utilizing Moose, once we got Connor time, we started to be effective. When we started to execute, just like we had been hearing all year that's all we needed to do. Well, it probably turns out to be able to execute, all we needed to do is have something built for our players. And I want an offensive coordinator that's going to build for our players, not for their system, not our players for their system, fix their system for our players. Okay? This guy's coaching at TCU right now. And I can tell you right now, almost across the board, he's got seniors. They know where to be, they know when to be there, and how to be there. They've been in this for a long time, so they know what's going on. Sure, it's their first year with him, but these are guys with experience. We've got a bunch of young guys right now, so we needed that help early on. We were probably trying to do our offense like we were playing with juniors and seniors this last year, and that wasn't it. It just wasn't it. We needed to let them use their talent, but we couldn't get them time to do their talent and time to get the ball to the talent, right? So that's what I think I want to see out of an offensive coordinator first. From there, oh wow, I think development is probably the next thing. I want to see growth. I want, and of course that's not directly in their hands, but they're going to have so much of their footprint on the rest of the offense with the position coaches and everything else that growth is imperative. And I almost started to say recruiting, but I think this speaks to the recruiting more so than it does just saying recruiting, and so therefore it speaks to multiple things, right? If we're showing growth out of these players, we will be effective. Not only that, we'll be able to get guys into the NFL, and we'll show recruits that this is a place that they want to be. And if this is a place you want to be for your growth, because your ultimate goal is the NFL, you're also much less likely to have behavioral problems, right? Because you have an ultimate goal in mind. But I think some of the behaviors this year were due to players seeing themselves, in a sense of having no light at the end of the tunnel, especially with young guys. Young guys don't see the bigger picture as well. And if they're on a failing, struggling team, they're more likely to act out because they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So they don't have that motivation to keep themselves in check. No excuses still, but you get the idea. So I think that's what I want to see out of an OC. I'm sure there's going to be a couple other things. I'll definitely chime in the comments when we get there. But tell me what you think, and I'll respond, and we'll come up with a nice working list. But these are the first two I think that come to mind for me at the moment. So let's look at some of this film. Let's see what you're going to get out of Mr. Garrett Riley over at TCU. So I pulled some film, slowed it down, and let's take a nice little look. I think you're going to see some things, and I got some comments to make about some other things that he is doing. So let's start off here. Let's take a look at what he's got going on right here. So we're in 10 personnel. That's a wide receiver coming around, but you got the pre-snap motion going on. This is something we had wanted to see quite a bit this year. We see it right away coming from him. They're 3rd and 4 here, right? Second quarter. Not a incredibly weird down in distance or anything or position in the game. So little pre-snap motion. You see, look at the bottom of the screen. You see the receivers crossing right there. Something we had also talked about wanting to see out of our guys. And these rubs and these picks. Okay. Let me get you back over here. Okay, here we go. All right, so watch them cross right there on the line. Delivers a strike right past the first down marker. Isn't that also something else we want to see out of our guys? Now, like I said, you're rolling with seniors here a lot. But his guys right now, they're competent and they know what they've got to do. His quarterback knows where he's got to deliver it. I like that. Right now, I like that. I like it a lot. Let's jump to another play. 21 personnel, 2 running backs, a tight end. Something we also saw in the LSU game. Finally, right? Okay. No pre-snap motion, but you see a lot of options going on here. And a nice little designed screen pass here to get the defensive end up the field, deliver the ball to the running back so that he can get up the field and go get the first down. Nice play. All right, so kind of got similar situation going on. We at least have 1 running back and 1 tight end here, 2 flanking wide receivers, and probably 1 going in motion. So again, second quarter, 3rd and 8, they're trying to get a first down. A little pre-snap motion. Just send it right up the middle. I think we had a guard pull. Do we have a guard pull here? No guard pull. But something we have been looking for out of our team, we're starting to see it from this guy, which probably got to be well received, don't you think? Went over to the Baylor game, pulled some footage here too. Okay, so what do we have here? We do have, again, you see this similar formation going on again. Wide receiver coming around, so we're actually probably in 10 personnel with just a running back and no tight end here. But we have some motion. We have something going on here. And just a nice delivery out to that motion guy. Kind of a version of a jet sweep situation, but passing, screen pass. And it worked because of the setup Baylor was showing. Okay? I mean, you see all this cushion that they've got. This is something that this guy, if he comes over, is going to have to adapt to for us. They're not going to see this much cushion that often. Another thing he's not going to get very often is he's going to be faced with more speed from linebackers. And linebackers that can get out for that pass. That may not be a great play in the SEC. People will watch this and think what they want about the Big 12. That's fine. But come 2025, we'll see what those people are thinking whenever they're starting to play in this conference. All right, let's move on over. Sorry while I fast forward here. Okay, let's look at some more Baylor footage here. All right, back it up. Let's see. What do you see? What do you see, right? Running back, tight end. Tight end's going to run inside. Running back's following him, but they're pulling and they're throwing. This guy's sitting down on the route right because he had a lot of cushion. So I show you the route. He's utilizing what the defense is giving to him. He's going to have to do that in the SEC as well, but this is going to have to come in. He's really going to have to work on upgrading his quarterback play. And I'm not. This is not about Duggan. Duggan's a great quarterback, but what I mean is the reads at the offensive line are going to have to be a little bit more precise. It's easy to look at this and see, oh, I've got all that cushion over there, so I kind of know where I want to go with this. It's a pretty easy read for that, right? But when you've got guys playing up on you and you're not sure where the blitz is coming from, and you know you've got some other factors in play, you can't just make that simple of a read. All right, let's jump ahead over to K-State. This is the Big 12 championship game. Saw a lot of interesting things in here from TCU. Got 11 personnel with the tight end, something we probably, and I know I have really grown to love. I want to see that, maybe 2 tight ends a lot. You know, they had a lot of problems blocking this game with the offensive line. I think what you're seeing from this formation, though, what you've got, he's able to identify a man on the outside. Sure, there's a safety, but if he can get the ball in the right spot, it should neutralize it. And he's got plenty of protection, but it's still a quick throw, and he's just going to go over the top. I think we want stuff like this because we've got Evan, we've got Moose, who's going to be the next guy. Noah Thomas, right? Big guy, you know, gives you a feel of a Mike Evans that can do these, you know, one-on-ones, these 50-50 balls, and make these catches happen. I want to see some more one-on-one matchups, right? We hadn't mentioned it a lot this game. I've only mentioned it, I mean, this season, I've only mentioned it a few times, but we were not good at finding and getting one-on-one matchups. We had a lot of skill players that could actually do these, especially when, you know, while Chris Marshall was playing, we could have been doing these kinds of things as well. So I really like what I'm seeing here from this, and it would be nice to see more of this following year. Let Evan Stewart get that play right there, right? Perfect play for him right there. Okay, last play. Let me show you what else he's got here. So this is a 2 tight set, right? Do you think they were running that in the Big 12, 2 tight set? Well, they are. They're doing it against Kansas State, that's for sure. Okay, what the guys do right here? It's a 4th and 3, right? It's a 4th and 3. So let's back up and see what happens. 2 tight ends. They're going to leave out. Running back goes wide. It just kind of threads the needle. You see anybody going short of the first down marker, by the way? I sure don't. They're all there. This is a sight for sore eyes. Sight for sore eyes. So as we get our guys coming along and they get more senior, we're going to have much better decision making from our guys to be able to do this kind of thing. So he's got his guys knowing what they need to do. So I feel confident in his ability to convey the message and have his guys ready for what needs to take place. So what do you think about Mr. Riley so far? You like him? A couple things I will say is he did run 10 personnel quite a bit, running back, 4 wide receivers. He did it a lot this year. I pulled those videos because I thought it looked closest to what we did. But there was quite a bit of footage of that too, to be quite honest. And that's what I also wanted to point out, that he's no stranger to those formations and the stuff that we're kind of looking for out of our guys, I think. Because we kind of know what formations are going to probably work well for our guys at this point. Maybe we can do more 10 personnel with only 5 linemen next year if our offensive line's more effective at doing those one-on-one matchups and picking up the stunts and all those kinds of things, right? But he did run that just 5 down linemen quite a bit, 4 wide receivers, and that's something we kind of grew to hate. I think I was cussing at some points during the season because we continued to keep doing this. But what I will say, and this actually works for us a little bit too, Even though our games were a little bit closer, TCU played from behind quite a bit this year. And so when you get behind, you're not really looking to run the ball as much. You want to put four wide receivers out. You're trying to play catch up. I mean, they had how many, 4 or 5 games where they're trailing in the third and fourth quarter or something, or five games that they came back and won. You know, um, that speaks to they're going to be lining up in those kinds of formations more so. So I feel good about this guy, that he knows and is familiar with what we would be trying to probably do with our folks. He can do the other stuff too if he has to, but he really looked pretty competent in the 12 personnel, the 21 personnel. I really liked the two tight end stuff that he showed us, as well as the two running back situations. Got to mention the one-on-one stuff too. Again, plug it. Got to plug it. So I think he can come in. I think he can get settled in really quickly. Kind of a different than like a Durkin situation where it wasn't real clear if Durkin was going to come in and do stuff similar to what we've been doing. Let's hope he gets back to it next year. Maybe it was just a personnel situation, a youth issue that we were trying to cover up this last year. But it looks like we ought to be ready to go if we can get somebody like Riley. But we'll see. There's been a lot of tight-lipped stuff so far, so I'm not really sure what to make of it, if this is the guy for us. But, yeah, would not be sad to see this be the guy. Phil Longo looks like he's out of the running. Looks like he's been hired on, I think maybe with PJ Fleck and at Wisconsin. So he was hired off from UNC, it looks like. So right now, I hadn't mentioned Dan Mullen. I don't really intend to go through anything that Dan Mullen is doing at this time. I mentioned one other than him that I didn't think was that realistic. Maybe a Kendall Browse or something. I just don't quite see that sort of thing being our cup of tea right now. So the other one I believe we are looking at in particular is Jeff Grimes, the Baylor offensive coordinator. So definitely take a look at him probably on Friday. So if you haven't yet, like and subscribe. Bringing more of these your way as often as I can. Now trying to feed into you guys. So like and subscribe. If you haven't, where are you listening from, Ags? Put your location in. Where are you coming from? You in Texas or are you out? Haven't heard from you guys in quite a little while, so I'd like to see a check-in. So let me know. And yeah, let me know in the comments again what you think's going on with that OC, and we'll have some fun over there. And we'll see you soon for the next go around of this and what the next OC looks like. Hopefully we get some more recruits coming in soon, and if that OC comes, I'll bring you that announcement. I'll definitely show you what that person's doing if we haven't already. All right, guys, thanks and gig 'em.